as well, straight from the iPad. Sometimes you got to do it any way possible. DJ Smooth J in the building. Salute. Yeah, man. So I see that we're basically live on all channels. The only thing I wanted to see, I was testing to see if Instagram would work, and I'm not sure that's working. I wanted to add Instagram to this. Let me just quickly check to see if I did something. Maybe I missed something here. One sec. Unable to connect. Okay. Let me try that one more time. Sending the data. And otherwise, we'll just leave that one. Unable to connect. Okay. So I guess Instagram's not working. Curtis, good to see you. DJ Mero in the building. We got Donnell in the building on Facebook. DJ Grizzly. DJ VIP. Salute. Salute, salute, salute. So it is Wednesday, share the knowledge time, my DJ Q&A. You can ask me any DJ related questions. So salute to all the people on Mixcloud, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch. And I think that's it. I wanted to try Instagram through a separate service. And I tested that yesterday and it worked then. It's not working now. I don't know why it's not working now. But it is what it is. And I posted on IG today that I was not sure if I was going to be able to do the Share the Knowledge podcast right now because we were in the middle of rehearsals for a gig we have on Saturday, out of town. Didn't know I was going to make it back in time with traffic and all. And I could not make it to the studio. Basically, the same thing as I had Sunday, couldn't make it to the studio. So I'm at home on Sunday for my live stream. I had a whole setup here with a little controller and my laptop and made it work. So I decided for this stream, I'm going to try something different as well. And I'm streaming straight from my iPad right now. I use Restream as my streaming service to stream to multiple platforms. And I do that in OBS normally, but Restream also has their browser-based option. So right now, I'm just on a browser on the iPad in Restream, and I'm still going to all the platforms, just using my AirPods and this cam. All we need for this Q&A right here. Samuel, good to see you. Leonzo, what's going on? And let's see, salute to you. You taught me years ago to DJ via YouTube, and I passed your links on. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I was glad that I was able to help. So that's always dope to hear. And Vinyl Touches in the building was good. Chico Belly, salute. Search One was good. All right, so the question is my thoughts on DJing for the younger generation going forward. Um, well, first off, the threshold to get into the world of DJing is much lower, which I feel is a good thing. You have to imagine if we take this back like a bunch of years, the only way you could get into DJing is to go out and buy a set of turntables and a mixer. And then you had to go and get yourself a vinyl collection, which in most cases you probably had to start from scratch. Or maybe if you were lucky, you may have had parents who had some vinyl or older brothers and sisters who had some vinyl. So maybe you could use that. Otherwise, you had to start from scratch. No music, no equipment. You had to build that up first before you could start. Nowadays, anyone can just experiment with apps on their phone, you know? And yes, I understand that's not exactly the same thing, but when it comes to just the experience of playing songs, mixing songs, seeing if that's something you would like to just not just play with, but actually become good at, you could start with an app to see if you like it. I think that's a dope thing. So the threshold is lower to get into DJing. Now, of course, after that, you can take it a million ways. You could add a controller. You could go for a full setup or large standalone players, DVS per turntables, or actually still decide to start your own vinyl collection and play with turntables, it's all possible. For the youth, also nowadays, they will have access to a lot more information. So I had to teach myself, listen to tapes, and try to emulate what I heard. Some people may have had a mentor, and a lot of people just had to learn the hard way, or maybe even years later, learn how to actually DJ properly. And now you have online courses, tutorials, you name it. So they have access to more information. They can have a DJ app on their phone and use a streaming service to have a collection instantly. So that's a different start. Now, that does mean they're going to have a different appreciation compared to how it was for us because we had to start with nothing and build it up. So you have a different appreciation for every song you collect into your collection. But no, I don't know. I think it's I think the future is bright and more people can actually get into DJing. Maybe not on a professional level, but as a nice hobby to do at home. Uh, hey Miss, what up man? Wat heb je weer een mengtafel nodig? Uh, maar serieus, check me even. Misschien heb ik wel iets. Um, let's see. Oh, search your comment. Oh, that was half of the comment. Okay, got you. I meant playing for the younger generation. See, there I go. I gave you a complete answer, and that was not your question. Got you. The way they take in music now and the lack of knowing classics, but I appreciate this answer too. Got you. Playing for the younger generation. I don't play for the younger generation that much, so I don't really have a proper opinion when it comes to that. I decided in the last couple of years I was not really feeling the direction of the music and the crowd. So I have not been playing that many clubs for young people. I appreciate some of the new music. Actually, I appreciate quite a bit of new music, but that was not the same music that was being played, not the same tracks. So I don't know. That's really hard for me to tell. Tim van Dalen wants to know. Wait, how does this work? Wait. Sorry, guys, I got to get used to this interface on the iPad. This is not my normal way of streaming. Got you. Okay. Just wanted to say thank you for taking the picture in Dordrecht 2 months ago. Got you. They came to see the theater show. My question is, when do we get to see the story of TLM with the main focus on DJs, turntablism, and producing? I have no idea. What I do know is when it comes to Dordrecht, I'll be DJing there on June 17th. So at Futures Throwbacks. I don't know the name of the venue I'm at, but in Dordrecht, June 17th. So I'll be in the area. Um, on the song Ready to Die by Biggie Smalls, there is a scratch pattern I can't decipher. Um, yes, they have they're sampling the sentence "I'm ready." I'm trying to imagine the scratch in my head right now. They're doing that. I'm ready. Uh, no, it's going to be too hard for me to just off the top say, okay, it's this or that pattern. Uh, but I know. Damn. Maybe I'll check it in a sec to see if I can decipher it. I do have to say one thing though. I won't be able to make this a full 2 hour Q&A because I have some more stuff to take care of. Unfortunately, it will be my goal to do every stream, but I will have to navigate around jobs and life on occasions. Just being here in the house streaming on an iPad is, of course, already different than the studio sessions, but we'll make it work. Jay Valeria was good. At 6, good to see you on Monday. Some of you may have tuned in during Monday's live stream. I was streaming from a venue here in the Netherlands, Hedon, in a town called Zwolle, during Raw Essence, the dance battles, where I am one of the DJs. I do the hip hop category, and then we have a couple of other DJs and different categories. And I decided just to stream most of the event. I started streaming from the time I got there at 3 all the way to we went on till my stream lasted 8 hours, so to 11. A lot of fun to do. Now, for the people who did tune in, just wanted to add one thing. You couldn't hear the MCs, unfortunately. I was only able to get the audio from the mixer. So I linked both mixers of both sets together, sent that to my ATEM Mini Pro for the stream. So y'all got the audio and some nice visuals. But the MCs, we had two MCs, and they were doing like the countdowns when people had to start, stop. They announced the names. That went through the system, the PA system in the venue. When I'm there next year, I'll definitely stream again, but I'm going to make sure I get the entire audio because that is something that was missing. And sometimes you might hear me play during that dance battle, and abruptly I'll stop a song. That's because you couldn't hear the MCs doing like a three, two, one, stop. And then I have to stop because the dancers have to stop. But overall, I enjoyed that event a lot, and it was cool to be able to share that with the people who tuned in. John T was good. Smooth J. Was that DJ Premier on the Biggie track? I don't know who did the cuts. That's a good question. We'll have to look that up. Leonzo has a question. How can I learn different song parts? Could you explain a little bit more what you mean by that? How you can learn song parts? I'm not sure I understand the question. So Leonzo, try to give me a little bit more on that question. How exactly you mean that? How can I learn different song parts? Let me know. Easy Mike D, salute. I see you. All right, let me check. This interface is it's kind of funky. I see myself in the corner, and then I have the chat here. Um, it's actually a lot more simple compared to my normal set with like my PC screens and everything. Do you know anything about RipX Deep Remix software? You can do stems with it. I'm thinking of trying it and maybe buy it. John T, I've heard the name. I've not experimented with that yet. I mean, there's basically a ton of different software out there that will allow you to separate stems. So basically, for people who are not familiar with stems, we nowadays have software that will allow you to take a song, a finished song, music and vocals, and take it apart after the fact. So you can take the vocals, the drums, sometimes separately the bass and other instruments and create different tracks for that. Um, so I've heard Ripx. I've not used it. You have what's the other one called? I think it's called something like La La La. Isotope has in their RX suite, they have a function that allows you to do that. And of course, you have real-time versions of that in a bunch of the DJ software. So Serato has that, Algorithm DJ has that, Virtual DJ has that, and even Pioneer has a version in Rekordbox. Um, so I haven't used Ripex. I don't know how much they charge, and I don't know how far their actual software goes, what it allows you to do. So isolate drums from songs. Yes, that's the same thing you can do with the other ones. Yeah, the other one was called Lal. So LALAL dot AI. That allows you to just upload and get some stems. Um, Fader.com, the best stems, Ripex. So as you can tell, there's a bunch of them. Remove vocals, create stems. I'm just checking it out on screen real quick. Ripex future audio platform, three groundbreaking modules. Um, 6+ stem AI separation. Yeah. Instrument replacement, reperformance module. Okay, I'm not gonna have time to check out exactly what all of those features mean. Extract stems for DJ sets and DAWs, yes. Um, but what's the price on this? Show me. Buy now. Um, so I guess it's the top one, the Deep Remix, 85 bucks. Okay. So I haven't heard it. Maybe there are examples on the website as well. So I haven't really checked that out. Search one, use fader. Okay, got you. Pretty dope. FBA one all the way wants to know what gear did I spin on during the dance battle. So the setup I had there was just two turntables and a mixer, DVS with Serato using phase. So the turntables were just turntables from the venue. That's all they had to provide for me. They had the Technics SL1200 Mark II. I brought a Pioneer DJM S7 and I had phase and the laptop. I used a reloop USB hub stand, and I think that was it. I brought my Gico needles as a backup, but I didn't need them. But that was it. Would ever do, I think it's going to be would you ever do or be interested in doing how to make a mixtape video series? I have some tracks ready, but I'm stuck on recording one long mix and editing that, or maybe do songs individually. Yeah, so once way back in the past, I started that, and I don't think I went past episode two with making the mixtape tutorial series. Um, yes, that is still something I am interested in doing. It is one of those things that I have on my list, but I know it's going to be a while. I'm basically slowly building up a steady level of content, starting with most of the live streams, and then I'm adding some of the content I used to add on YouTube, bring that back up on the channel, and then start to add more. But yeah, I mean both options work, especially nowadays with the way you can easily edit. So look, in the past with older equipment, recording your mix in one take really meant that you had to record it in one take. And otherwise you had to go back and do it over. I preferred at a certain point to do track by track, especially in the computer. But I've also later on recorded mixes in, well, not one take, but in one recording. And what I would do in those cases is I would just start my mix. If at any point I make a mistake, I just rewind the track a couple of bars, let it go again, continue my mix, and then afterwards in my editing software, I can just cut from the point right before I made the mistake to where I continued, and you can still make it into a seamless mix. So it all depends, and it all takes up time. If I'm going to do a mix in one take, I'm going to have to actually know the exact order of the tracks. I'm going to have to prepare and already make sure I know, okay, I'm going to have to speed this one up +2. I'm going to have to slow this one down a little bit. This is going to be my mix in, my mix out point. I'm going to have to actually practice that if I want to do it all in one take. Now, mind you, this is not the same thing as recording a live mix. When I do my live streams, that is all freestyle on the fly, but I don't consider that mixtapes. Those are just live mixes. But if I'm doing a mixtape and if I'm going to record it in one take, then I'm going to have to practice the mix first. That takes up time. Recording track by track will also take up time because then the recording process is slower. So um, it all depends just on what you prefer. Oh, wait, I forgot about this. Y'all can't see this, but I'm at home. I'm on my iPad, but I also have my Mac Mini here. My computer is right behind me, my monitors. If you're in the Apple ecosystem, I'm using my mouse on the computer, and I just took my mouse out of the screen, and now my mouse cursor is inside of the iPad. Sometimes I forget that I can control the iPad and the computer with the mouse. Adds nothing of value to the live stream, but it just happened to me, and that it's a funky gimmick. All right. Smooth J says sorry about that. Typing on the iPhone. Hey man, that happens. Um, Mike Easy. I'm getting some background noise with my OBS software, even though I have the interface hooked up to my mixer. It wasn't doing it before, but some reason it's doing it. Can't figure out what's wrong. Background noise. Okay. Um, you were using a turntable setup, right? If I'm not mistaken. You bought the Audio Technicas, the LP 1240s, right? Background noise. And you're just going from the output from the mixer to your audio interface, right? But if you didn't have it before and you have it now, that's a tricky one. That's hard for me to diagnose on the spot, to be honest. That's going to be pretty hard to diagnose on the spot. Leonzo, I'm still waiting for you to come back to me, man. Let me know what you meant by the how can I learn? Oh, sorry. You already did. That is the second one. Sorry. Let me read it. How can I learn different song parts? What I mean by that is how to know where verses and choruses are. Got you. Okay. So I kind of had an idea you were probably talking about that. So the structure of songs. That's not really, well, I mean, you can learn that, but it's more about recognizing, right? So, verses and the chorus. The chorus, something we also call the hook in a song, but the official name will be chorus. Some people like to refer to it as hooks because the chorus is the part that is supposed to hook you in, grab your attention, get you to remember the song. So the chorus is a part that will be repeated throughout the song. Mind you, there's also songs that have no chorus. For instance, you have certain rap tracks where the rapper just starts at the beginning and raps for an incredible amount of bars, and then the song ends, no chorus. But most songs will have a chorus that will be repeated a couple of times throughout the song. That chorus part is the easiest part for people to remember. That's why it's the part that can hook you in, and why we refer to it as a hook. Um, So, what could I give you as advice how to recognize that? I mean, the more you listen to songs, the more you start to recognize how it works. A lot of songs will start with an intro that could be just some music before any vocals come in. You also have songs that will go straight into the chorus, that part that will repeat multiple times. The chorus should be the easier part to recognize because that's repeated throughout the song. So even if you hear someone sing or rap and you're not sure, hey, is this the verse or is this the chorus? There's going to be a part that they're going to repeat later on. And if you hear it the second time, if you didn't notice it the first time, but you hear it the second time, you're like, hey, that's the same part as before. That must be the chorus. If you know what the chorus is, then you can now also find out what the verses are. I don't know. It's going to be pretty hard for me to explain that. I'm trying to figure out if there's an easy way to explain this. Uh, hmm. But I don't think it's like really a question of learning. It's just like the more you listen to music, you start to recognize, like, okay, that's an intro, that's a verse, that's a chorus. Then there's also stuff like there could be a bridge in a song, which is a part between the verse and a chorus where it's building up to going back to a chorus. Depending on the types of music that you listen to as well. I mean, if you're listening to certain house or EDM type of genres where there might not even be actual verses, but it could be more of like having an intro leading to a build up and then a drop, and then you have the breakdown again and a build up with or without vocals, which is a little bit different than having verses and choruses. So it kind of depends on the music too. Smooth J says check the cables. I mean, Mike Easy, sometimes there could be an issue with a cable. Something is not connected correctly. With your turntables, is the ground wire still connected the right way or did one come loose? Because that could give you a background noise as well. But again, it's really hard to diagnose something like that without seeing everything. Let me just do a quick check if I missed one here right before this one. And I actually want to also maybe check out the Ready to Die real quick to hear that scratch. If I can decipher really quickly what that is. Let me just check one more thing in the meantime. Why won't that start? This is the one. I'm trying the Instagram thing one more time. I was using Promogram, which is a service which should allow you to add it to Restream, so I can stream to Instagram as well. But it almost looks as if I have to like reconnect it. This is working. This is ready. Start the live. I'm gonna try it one more time, see what happens. Let me quickly check. Because I do want to see if I can incorporate Instagram somehow. See, Promogram is telling me that the live is there on my Instagram, but I don't see anything happening here. Connect, connect, connect. Let me see, did anything happen here? No, I'm not seeing it. Nope. Okay. Not working. Never mind. All right, stop, close. Whatever. All right. Have you ever went to a gig that supplied the turntables that just didn't work well? That is something that's happened quite a few times, which is one of the reasons why I really, really like phase, because that kind of takes that element out of it for the most. I mean, if you give me turntables that absolutely won't even turn on, then phase won't help either. Beyond that, it does help. So, if so, how did you get through the gig? All right, there's multiple ways I can take this. So, one story is where this was before phase. I was using Serato, DVS, all that. I got to the club and I found out I was going to do, I think, 2.5 hour set, hooked everything up, and one of the turntables just would not connect. So maybe there was an error, like something wrong within the cable, something wrong within the tone arm. I could not get the signal of the control vinyl to Serato in the computer. So basically, I had one working turntable. Now, in that case, there is a solution. I don't prefer to play that way, but I can play that way, and I rock the 2.5 hour set for full club that way and rock that crowd. So if you use any DJ software, you know you can have the DJ software play in internal mode, meaning that you're not even using something to control it. You can control it just from the laptop. Just go to internal mode, hit play, and then it will play your songs. In this occasion, for this particular situation, I had one working turntable, one defect turntable, not working. I took that deck, in this case, deck one, my left deck, on Inserato, activated internal mode on that side, and just hit play. The song will play, and you will hear it on that channel on your mixer, but you can't control it with your vinyl, but you can play a song. Now, I can have a track playing there, and then I take my right deck, deck number two in the software, control that with the vinyl, and mix it in. As soon as I mix that song in from the working turntable, I go to Serato, and on deck one, I just load the same track. So I hit instant doubles. As soon as I activate instant doubles, the track that was playing on deck two is now also playing on deck one from the exact same point. So now I have the same song playing on both decks at the exact same point. Then I just switch my fader back to deck one. So now people are still hearing the new song, but now it's playing on the internal player. I load a new song into deck two, mix it in from the turntable. Once I mix it in, instant doubles. Now it's playing on the internal deck. Move the fader to that side. So basically, my entire 2.5 set was mixing songs in on deck two and then hitting instant doubles to load it to the internal player. So yeah, I know at least one DJ who only plays that way. So even when the decks are both working, only plays that way. I don't prefer that. I want to do backspinning stuff like that. I even did a couple of tricks that sound like backspinning. In that case, I would just bring it in on this side, then hit Q point on the other side, then bring it in with the vinyl from that side to have sort of a backspin effect. But that is a way you can still save your set. Now, um, I've had gigs where I came in and the turntables were just I haven't had gigs where they both weren't working, but I've had gigs where I had trouble connecting. Something was wrong, and it would work for a while, and then all of a sudden one deck wouldn't work, then it would work again. Um, it was because we went into a transition mode here at a certain point where most of the clubs I was playing at, they still had turntables, but most DJs that were playing there, who were playing there, were using CDJs. This was during the first era of the CDJ here in the Netherlands, and the CDJs really took over the market here. So anytime I would play, I would have to ask for the turntables, and they would have turntables, but they would like have to bring them in from the basement or the attic, and you could tell like, okay, these haven't been used for a while. Um, Most of the time they would still work, but sometimes you could have an issue. That's what I love about Phase. I can just ask you, yo, do you have turntables? Yes. Do they spin? Yes. Then basically I'm good and I can come in with Phase and play. But I would always prefer to have turntables that actually fully work, just in case I have to just use my control vinyl and needles, you name it. But Phase eliminated a lot of that for me. A lot of the worries that I could have about, okay, I'm going to a venue, I've never been there before. I don't know if they have good turntables or not. Um, with Phase, I don't have to worry. Now, that is the good thing though about this small country. I live in a small country. Once you've been around the country, you pretty much have an idea. Okay, I'm playing at that venue. Yeah, their setup is cool. Yeah, cool. I'm playing there. Cool. I know they have at least six SLs there. So if there's anything wrong with one, they can bring in another, you name it. And for certain gigs, I knew in advance, like, ooh, this could be tricky. And I've had a couple of gigs where I had to consciously make the decision to say, like, okay, you know what? I'm going to bring the gear, but I'm going to make sure I have my flash drives ready to switch to CDJs in case something is wrong with turntables. And I've had to do that maybe once or twice. Long answer. Next one. Let's see. How do you know what songs go together? When I say that, I mean vocal swap transition, like play one song and make the crowd think it's another song. Ah, oh no, that's a different question. Sorry. So how do you know what songs go together? When I say that, I mean vocal swap transition, like play one song, make the crowd think it's another song. Well, with anything like that, it's about knowing your music and experimenting. So if you come up with an idea, creative idea, like, hey, I'm gonna play vocals from this song with an instrumental from that song, would that work together? Try it out. Just try it out. Now, one thing that I feel is important to mention is especially when you start to connect or combine vocals from one song with the instrumental, with the music from another song, is you're going to have to either have a good ear for key or use the key information and make sure that the songs are in a matching key or a key that's not going to clash. Sometimes you see people, they get creative and they think you can just take any type of instrumental and any acapella and make them work together. And that's just not the case, especially if we're talking about vocals with singing. The singing is done in a certain key that matches the instruments of that song. If you take that singing and you add it over another instrumental, which has different instruments, or at least instruments playing in a different key, it can make the singing sound off, off key, which is not a good sound. Some people hear that, some people don't hear that. Luckily, you can analyze your songs and you get that information. You know the tempo, you know the key, and you can figure it out that way. But experimenting with that is the best way. Sometimes if you know songs well enough, you can already imagine in your head, okay, this instrumental is going to work great with that. But in most occasions, you're just going to have to try that out. Experiment as much as possible. Sven, what up? With the new stems feature, do we still need to save instrumental versions? Yes. Yes. 1000% yes. For the simple fact that the stems feature is great and in some of the DJ software, it's working fairly well and sounds pretty good. It is not amazing. With some songs, it actually sounds really good when the song is mixed in a way that you can easily take out frequencies and the rest of the song will still sound good. But I've used stems with a lot of songs and the end result is okay. It's good enough for a stream and it's good enough to do a live mashup, but some of those instrumentals you wouldn't want to use as an actual instrumental because they don't sound as good as an actual instrumental. So saving instrumentals is still a thing. Yes, especially when you want to make sure you're recording a mix, for instance, you want to have the quality as high as possible. You want to use instrumentals whenever you can. Now, for me, the stems feature is great to use when I don't have the instrumental. Now I can make that instrumental on the fly. Or I use stems when I make a transition. So I'm basically only using it for like 4 to 8 bars. After that, I'm not using it. But if you're going to do longer stuff and you're going to have like an instrumental running for a longer time, a real instrumental will sound better than something you created using the stems feature, for sure. Ronnie Cox, salute from Croatia. Good to see you. Appreciate that. And let's see. What DJ equipment do you own? Or do you rent your equipment if you have to do a mobile job? Island Boy, I don't do a lot of mobile jobs. So every once in a while, like in my 30 years, I've done a couple of weddings where I brought my own gear. And even then, I'm not even bringing the audio equipment, just the DJ gear. And then I'm bringing my own gear. I have I ever rented anything? I've had like two different gigs, semi-mobile gigs where I was asked if I could also take care of the equipment, and in those cases, I rented the equipment, the sound equipment, but I still brought my own DJ equipment. Um, Most of my gigs don't require me to bring equipment. For some of the performances that I do when I have live shows with Brainpower, sometimes I'll bring gear, sometimes just a mixer, sometimes if the gig calls for it, I'll bring a controller. For instance, today I had to change my setup up and I couldn't go to the studio because I was actually in a rehearsal session with Brainpower today in a different city. We just got back to Amsterdam. And this is going to be an event we're at on Saturday. And that's going to be not just with a full band, not our band, but a full band and like a bunch of backup singers and a horn section and you name it. There's also going to be like, I don't know, like 20 different or 10 to 20 different guest artists. And we're just going to be a part of that show where we do a couple of parts. The stage is going to be crazy full. So in that case, I'm going to just bring a smaller controller because there's not that much space on stage. I don't have to do a crazy amount of stuff on my gear. I'm bringing a smaller controller. We just did the rehearsal in a rehearsal studio, and I brought the smallest thing I could bring in this case, which was a DJ 400, which is nice and compact. So I only needed a very limited amount of space to set up just the DJ 400, my MacBook Air, and I was good to go. Um, so yeah, mostly my own gear when needed, but for all my club gigs here, I just have equipment on my rider, so I'll let them know in advance. I need turntables, and I want like an S9 or S7 or S11. If they can provide that, then I'm willing to bring my S7 or S9 to that gig. Um, and when we do like the club gigs, when I do the club gigs with Brain Power and we perform at all sorts of parties, most of the times there's going to be a CDJ setup there that I'm rocking on, so I don't have to bring gear for that either. Only a flash drive and my headphones. And I prefer it that way. On TV, salute at work. Hey, my pleasure, bro. No problem. Dope, dope, dope. Have a good one at work, yo. Yeah, hey, where is it? Smooth J. These things will happen. Even this weekend, like with Phase, I never really have issues with Phase while it's working, but I've had one or two incidents where, or instances where I had like a disconnect for a second. Like the song was still playing, the record was playing. I grabbed the record to stop the song that I wanted to mix in, and I saw the track continue to play. Like, hey, Phase is not controlling it anymore. But that was an easy fix, just like a quick disconnect the USB, plug it back in, boom, and Phase was back and working. But going through that stuff, the first time it happens to you, you do like panic for a second, like what's going on? Do I need to restart everything? Because if I have to restart Serato, then I'm losing audio. Can't do that. I'm playing right now. Um, but there's always a chance that something's not working. That's why I try to have as many backups as possible, even with my trust in Phase. For most of my gigs, when I'm playing with Phase, the records I use to put my Phase transmitters on is still control vinyl. That way, if anything would actually happen to Phase, I can still fall back on just playing with control vinyl. I'll have my needles with me. I make sure the turntables are connected to the mixer. If Phase would stop and I couldn't get it to work again, I just take the needles, put them on the control vinyl, and now I'm controlling Serato the quote unquote old fashioned way. We can take it a step further nowadays too, with algorithm DJ. This is in my pocket at all times, my phone. I have I don't have it here, it's in the bag, but I have one of those lightning to USB connectors, and that would allow me to connect my iPhone straight to the mixer. And with algorithm DJ, I could DJ from this if something would happen to my laptop. So those are things I would need an internet connection and beat source, but like nowadays there are more options to have like some backups. Like I remember DJs when they first started to play digitally, they would bring two laptops just in case one failed. I've never done that, but most of the times I will have this iPad I'm using right here in my bag as well. And then I have my phone. So those are already great extra options. Nine Iron, what's good? All good over here. Have you ever tried Traktor DJ? I can understand why DJs prefer it to Serato. The waveforms are side by side, not one below the other, so that you can see if the wave is sync. Sven, yes. I mean, I've used Traktor like way back, and I've used the forefather of Traktor um, before Traktor existed, and I was never the biggest fan. But I actually did my set on Sunday on Traktor. So this Sunday, for those of you who missed it, I had my Sunday sessions live stream, which is also normally from the studio, not from here, my little office at home. I couldn't go to the studio, so this Sunday, last Sunday, I did my Sunday sessions from this same little home office, and I used my Traktor S4 Mark III with Traktor software. Now, mind you, I hadn't used Traktor, I think, in a couple of years. So for me, it was a major shock again because I didn't even remember half of the features. But it was also a reminder to me personally why I don't like Traktor. It might be the greatest DJ software. It might have the most features, the best features. To me, that's not very important. I prefer the more simplified layout that I get in Serato and even in Rekordbox or Algorithm. There was so much happening on the screen, and still I couldn't find half of the features. Now, give me an afternoon and just to check online to see what all the features are, and I'll be able to find more. But I did not enjoy that a lot. So it's not my preferred software either. Um, but it is, and I will do that one of these coming weeks. I will give myself a little refresh course because sometimes I will run into gigs. Actually, having said that out loud, the gig I have this Saturday is a gig that I just explained with a lot of people, a lot of band members, extra members on stage, not a lot of space. I was going to bring a controller, but I was going to bring a little bit bigger of a controller than the DJ 400. The S4 is actually my best option. So I'll be using Traktor this Saturday. Just decided that right here. Even though I have to say during that show, I'm only doing a couple of scratches. I can do that without doing any research, but I will make sure I I give myself a little refresh course in Traktor because I should be able to do a good set on that, knowing exactly what I'm doing. I couldn't even find where I needed to get my samples in there to get my radio jingles in there. I could not see it. And I know when you go to all the tabs and options, there's a million of those. I don't have time to look through those while I'm DJing. So for me, Traktor was always just a little bit too much. I'm a more basic DJ when I'm DJing, so I don't need too much happening, not too much bells and whistles. So that's why I preferred Serato. Even before I was using Serato, I knew that that was the one. I started my digital adventure with software called Final Scratch. This was before Traktor existed. Final Scratch used hardware by Stanton. They started with a small round USB device. That was the first version. I did not have that one, but a couple of colleagues of mine did. I had the second version, which was this metal case that used a FireWire connection. Stanton did the hardware, Native Instruments did the software. So Final Scratch software that was designed by Native Instruments, and it kind of resembles like an early ancestor when you look at something like Traktor now. But I remember I was using Final Scratch, and at a certain point, I saw a DJ who was using different software, and I saw it was Serato. I didn't know that. I saw the laptop, I saw the software, super basic with the two little virtual turntables spinning in there. I was like, oh man, that looks so much more like how I DJ. And at that moment, I knew like that's probably one thing I want. And it had a couple of features that worked way easier compared to Final Scratch. So that was it for me. The only problem was you could not buy Serato here in the Netherlands. That's a different story. Um, just to keep it very short, there's a couple of people in Amsterdam who actually invented this DVS thing, and they had a patent on it, and that patent did not allow for Rain and Serato stuff to be sold in the Netherlands. So my first Serato, my first SL1 was bought by someone else who bought it in the States and brought it over here. But once I made that switch, I never looked back. Um, so Vinyl Touch, 100% Traktor may have the best DVS in the game. That is very likely because they are very good at what they do. But for me, it is definitely not my preferred workflow. Even though when it comes to my production, Native Instruments Machine is my baby. That's my thing. So you would imagine like maybe that ecosystem would be perfect for me, but it just never turned out that way. The software, same thing with the hardware. They had all of these. They had a different approach to DJing. I don't even remember all the names. They had like that F line, the F series. Then they came out with that S line of controllers that didn't even have crossfaders or jog wheels anymore. They kind of no, not jog wheels anymore. So they kind of lost me there. Like okay, they made one scratch mixer for DVS, the Z right, which was actually dope. But then they clearly made a choice to aim more at the musician and producer compared to the DJ. So the producer DJ, yes, but like my style of DJing is not really what Traktor's first interest is in my eyes. But I will never knock the gear. I just know it's not for me. Yes, they're very production centric, indeed. Z2. I played on that once and it's a very dope mixer, but they never came with like a Mark II or anything like that. Unfortunately. John T says, I had Reloop Spin back in the day. It worked so. I never had a chance to really work with that. So I still have my Numark, the PTO on Scratch, and I have the Omni. And I've seen the Spin, but I don't think I use. I've been to a couple of those portablest events. I don't remember if I used the Spin there. I don't think so. No. Let me see because I think I missed a couple of things already. So right here. Oh, if you touch, okay. Still working with the interface on the iPad, guys. Sorry. All right. So my mix sounds, why does it do that? My mix sounds dope live at home on my sound system. Do many live remix mashups, etc. If I'm confident in my mix at home, should I be confident with my mix at the club on a club sound system? Um, I think yeah. I mean, of course, the sound in a club is going to be different. It's going to be a lot louder. It's coming through totally different speakers. But if your sound sounds good at home, that should translate to a club, I think. Yeah, I think so. I mean, never done that test. I mean, I know I was playing at home and practicing at home, and it sounded good at home, and it sounded good in the club as well. It sounds better in the club when you hear it louder, but yeah. Indeed, we should synchronize by ear, but nevertheless, I would miss it. Yeah, Sven, you're talking about the way the waveforms are, right? Yeah, I mean that's a different style. I mean, I know a lot of people who play in Serato who have their waveforms vertically. That's something I can't do. I have to have them horizontally. I prefer that. But some DJs swear by having it vertically. So to each his own. You got to find the style that works for you. On that note, any tips when doing sound checks at the club? Nine Iron says. Um, yeah, one thing I would say, and that's something, it depends on what type of club you're at. If they have like an engineer working with you or someone who is doesn't know what they're doing. Um, Sometimes that happens too. Make sure you have enough headroom. So what I mean by that is when you're sound checking, make sure that your master level is at a normal level. Make sure your metering is basically at zero. So green, no orange, no red on your channels and on your master. Nice and clean. I've had a lot of engineers who want to sound check for me and they're telling me like, hey, crank it all the way up because they want to have that total control that they know that you can't go louder than that. But I don't do that because if I crank it all the way up, then I'm clipping. I'm not getting good audio. And I want that headroom. I want to be able to have a little bit of space. Um, but I make sure during my sound checks that I keep my levels very much within the normal parameters. 0 dB at most, not even orange or red. I don't want to get to the red, but if needed, I can get a little bit of orange later on if I need to get my loudness in there. But don't do your sound check at your loudest level that you're going to go, because that means that you can never go up during your set. Um, the only way you can go up more is if you, during your set, communicate with the sound guy and you're going to take your levels down, and the sound guy has to turn the levels of the room up. That's not something you want to do during your set, but I've done it on occasions where I was already at my max. I did not want to go higher because it was going to be just totally red, but I knew I needed more volume. In that case, I did get to the engineer, told him, like, look, I need more volume. I'm going to turn it down. Please turn it up. And then you have to turn it down for a second, which is going to shock your crowd a little bit because, hey, what's happening to the volume? And then the sound engineer turns it up again. And then now I have a little bit more headroom. But I try to avoid that by making sure during the sound check, I don't give them too high of a level. Beyond that, I don't know what else to think of for the sound check. I mean, one thing I could add, which isn't really, well, it does apply basically. I've had it happen. This actually happened to me this Saturday during the show we had. We also had a band show. This was Brainpower and his own band. We had our setup time. This was during a festival. During festivals, you're playing on stages with multiple bands. You're going to have a certain time for changeover, meaning the band before you that's playing, they finish their set. They have to take all of their gear, pack it up. Then we have to come in with all our gear. So the drum riser for the drummer, you name it, the keyboard player, everything has to be set up. Then we have to do our line check, which is basically a quick sound check before it's our turn to go. Something happened here that has happened to me a million times. And this is something that engineers, sound engineers do a lot, and that is blame the DJ's equipment. The sound engineer was having an issue with my sound because he was only getting my left side, not my right side. So you have your outputs left and right, your stereo outputs. He was only getting left. Okay, the first thing I do is I see my metering, both channels of the stereo out are giving me signal. I listen on my headphones. I can hear it in stereo. Everything inside the mixer is working accordingly. Besides that, I know the mixer is working because I used it with the band show like the week before and haven't touched it since. I know the mixer is working. After the engineer tried a couple of things, there came that sentence that I've heard so many times. Maybe there's something wrong with the mixer. All right, quick caveat. I'm not saying that your equipment can't fail you because, yes, equipment can break for sure. But I've seen too many sound engineers who are very quick to go to your gear instead of checking all of their gear. You don't want to know the amount of times that I've had people tell me, like, there's probably something wrong with your mixer. The first time that happened, I was like, oh, wow. Well, I'm like, they're the pros. They should probably know. Over the years, I've learned to just tell them straight away, like, nah, dude, it's not my mixer. Yeah, but no, it's not my mixer. Used it yesterday. It's working fine. It's not my mixer. I don't care. Maybe there's like a 0.0001% chance that it turns out to be my mixer, but I'm pretty damn confident it's not my mixer. So I'll let them know straight away, like, nah, dude, that's not my mixer. Um, a lot of times it turns out that it's just a DI that's not working. A DI is a little box. They take cables, they put them in your outputs, put them into the DI, and from the DI they go to the PA system. Um, all right, I'm not even getting into what a DI exactly is. But a lot of times that little box might not be working correctly, which is why they're getting a messed up signal. Not my mixer, their box. In this case, the engineer tried a bunch of different stuff, and he had his help try different stuff, and it wasn't making a lot of sense. Even if they were connecting the other cables, he was still only getting the left. Even his helper was like, "That doesn't make sense," and I was already like, "That doesn't make sense. That's not how equipment works." After 20 minutes, the guy solved the situation. So I was like, okay, cool. And afterwards, he told me, yeah, one of the XLR cables wasn't plugged in right on my end, on his end, in his system. He didn't plug the cable in correctly in his system. But their first or second thought is, hey, something is wrong with your mixer. So that is one thing during sound checks. If you know your gear was working properly the last time you used it, it's probably still working correctly. Um, so they're trying to blame your gear. Don't just take their word for granted and let them check their stuff because it's more likely that it's going to be a cable or a DI box than your mixer. So that's another sound check tip. I'm going to do a couple more, and then I'm going to call it quits pretty early today. I've worked out today. I've traveled half the country to do like a sound check. I'm back here now, but same thing as last week. I have to help someone move again. Same person, more stuff. I get called in for the heavy lifting. So yeah, I'm going to have to be doing that. Costa Rica, salute. So let me do these couple of last questions, and then I gotta be out. I gotta go do that. Just saying, people like Hubert and Craze used to rock it on Traktor, and Reina and Shifty still do. It isn't terrible, but definitely a different workflow. Yeah, no. So once again, a Vinyl Touch, I believe you already know that I know. I'm not saying that Traktor is not good. I actually already stated. I think it's probably could be one of the best. Like back in the days, a lot of the DJs used to say their DVS was the tightest when it came to the scratching. That's all good. I just know the interface for me is terrible. It doesn't work for me. I prefer that more simple layout. And on top of that, Traktor is the only software that has given me a lot of issues with hardware that isn't Native Instruments hardware on multiple occasions. So in the past for my channel, I tried to do reviews for a couple of different devices that were made to work with Traktor. One was a Denon controller, and I don't remember the exact model. I think it was the Denon MC maybe 6000 or something, a controller that was made to work with Traktor. I had that thing in the house for a week or two, could not get it to connect to Traktor, could not get it to work. I had a mixer by Pioneer that was made to work with Traktor, a scratch mixer from Pioneer that was made for Traktor. If I'm not mistaken, that was called the DJM T1. Could not get it to connect and work with Traktor. Something that never happened to me with any gear in Serato, that was always plug and play and go. And then they also had like a couple of controllers, which was also, I think one was called the Pioneer, the something like an S DJ S1 or something like that for Serato. And then they had something also called the T for Traktor. And my neighbor bought that. It worked, but only very limited compared to their own Native Instruments hardware, which was something that was a little bit off to me. But um, never had those kind of issues with Native Instruments gear. Whenever I had Native Instruments gear and Traktor software, it works perfectly. It works perfectly. But the Traktor UI, their whole interface, the whole layout, it's just not for me. It's too much. Um, so that's a very personal thing. All right, quick check. Did I miss anything else? I don't think so. Which would be great because I think we've been going for like an hour and 3 minutes. So this is going to be the shortest Q&A in a while. From home. Yeah, I'm actually going to do that, guys. I still need to get something to eat. I haven't eaten that much yet today. Get something to eat, and then I have to start moving some heavy stuff around. So I'll be back here on Sunday for the Sunday sessions. Not here. I will be in the studio this Sunday for the Sunday sessions. And I can announce already, like I was been saying this for a couple of weeks. Hey, I'm gonna do a separate vinyl edition. I'm not gonna do that during the Sunday sessions. But this Sunday, I'm gonna do my stream all vinyl. So I will figure out later on, maybe if the vinyl thing is going to be a separate thing. But in this case, I haven't found the time. So this Sunday, my Sunday sessions is going to be from the studio, and it's going to be an all vinyl session. That's actually a good thing for me because during the week, next Wednesday, I got to spin in Germany, and I'm doing a vinyl set there. So I actually have to go through my vinyl this weekend to look for stuff. So that's a perfect excuse to say Sunday is going to be a vinyl session. So Sunday sessions this Sunday, all vinyl. Join me there. Thank y'all for tuning in. I apologize for the different circumstances, not the studio circumstances. Even though for a Q&A like this, let's be honest, it doesn't really matter where I'm at as long as I can see your questions and you guys can hear me and even see me through this iPad camera. We're good to go. So, all the lurkers, appreciate y'all listening. All the people in the chat, I appreciate the questions. My apologies for the shorter version. Next week on Wednesday, we're going to have our normal full 2 hour session. I hope, I think, from the studio. And I'll see y'all there. All right? Peace, y'all. Now I have to figure out how to end the stream on this iPad interface. Ah,